Hi there, Malcolm here with my 390th Booktube video, and today I'm bringing you a book review for The Doors of Eden by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and my March's Book of the Month. As far as I'm aware at the time of recording, this is the last of Adrian Tchaikovsky's science fiction works for me to read. I'll leave a link in the description box down below to my Adrian Tchaikovsky video, which in turn will have links to all of my reviews for his works that exist. Now, this science fiction standalone story explores a multiverse where each iteration of Earth has had a slightly different evolutionary tree. We get a nice little timeline at the beginning of many of the eras, and in each case we find out how the related species becomes the dominant one of planet Earth, and where it's gone well and where it hasn't gone well. And interspersing the story itself are various interludes, which gives you what feels like a lecture by Professor Ruth Emerson of the University of California about each of the timelines covered. And these are quite dry and do feel a lot like a lecture. Some of them are a bit interesting, but they really do break out the narrative of the main story to its detriment, I would say. The story itself, I think, struggles to know what it is. It starts off with a Sliders primeval style mystery involving two girls who are out investigating weird creature sightings. They find themselves at a stone circle where they then encounter what they call birdmen, and then one of them falls through the doorway and is lost, whereas the other one has to try and piece her life together again, having lost her lover. And we also follow somebody from MI5. There's also a professor who's an expert in this sort of physics, who's been targeted by various groups and goes missing under unusual circumstances. So the first two chapters of the book are full of intrigue in terms of setting up the story, setting up this mystery of what is going on. Now, if you've read the blurb or you're familiar with alternate Earths or magical gateways that send you to another place, time, whatever, then as the reader, you're kind of already well ahead of the characters in the story. But unfortunately, after the cold opening, as it were, with these girls and the original portal, we then get lost in a very drawn-out series of things that happens, which is again broken up by these dissertations on these alternate Earths. As we follow Lee trying to piece her life back together, having lost her lover, as we follow Kay, the professor, as she's kidnapped and then not, as we follow Julian and his not lover at all, Alison, as they are investigating these mysteries. But unfortunately, none of the characters were that interesting. It was the fact that Lee and Mal were lesbians. That was all we need to know about their character arc. Kay is trans, and then Julian is already married with a child, having feelings for Alison. But beyond that, there's nothing really more about their characters that really gets fleshed out. And as the story does unfold, as interactions between our characters and things from the other side start happening, and our characters start finding out what is going on, it's very drip-feedy. Lee eventually meets up with Mal again, but she's very reticent about what her experiences were. You'll find out, follow me. And then the answers, rather than being withheld, just take forever to become forthcoming. And by the time they do, you've kind of stopped caring, particularly again as you get these dissertations thrown at you quite regularly. There's also a James Bolland-style villain thrown into the mix, who I thought was completely unnecessary, added nothing really to the plot. I mean, there were some antagonistic things happening along the way, and certainly towards the end where his story arc is finally concluded. And you just think, well, what was the point in that? Really, it didn't achieve anything. The rat people could have kidnapped Kay for their own purposes without this arsehole being involved. The climax at the end would have happened whether this Bond villain was doing his thing or not. And indeed, the ending, or the approach to the ending, goes down several trouser legs of time, dealing with various endings. This choice is made, this is the ending that would happen if this choice is made. And it almost felt like reading a choose your own adventure game book, but in page order rather than a number order, where you just read a whole bunch of different endings to the story, one after the other, depending on the choices you made along the way. And in one way it was quite clever, having done that, but another way, it just, because it repeated a lot of the text from the main body of the story to then go down this alternate timeline, it did get very repetitive. And it's something I've seen before. Terry Pratchett's The Carpet People, that ending sees our hero travel down various alternate realities to find the one in which they win, and that's the one we go for. So yeah, I think for the majority of this, I was bored or just disinterested in it. I nearly gave up on it, but then Kay's rescue from the rat people from the airship at the top of a skyscraper, that was really exciting and quite intense, with a really interesting climax to that, which nicely tied in these dissertations as well to the main story, so that was quite a good payoff. But then following that, there was another character which I wasn't even aware was introduced earlier on, who was somehow integral to the whole thing that was happening, and I never understood exactly how they fit into it and who they were. And did we know about this character earlier? It was almost like sitting down to watch a TV show, but then realising halfway through that you haven't seen the previous episode. You don't know who these people are or what's going on here. It's like, hang on, I've missed a bit somewhere. As a huge fan of Adrian Tchaikovsky's science fiction writing, I wanted to like this more than I did, and I think I am looking at it more favourably because of the fact that I've read all of his other science fiction stuff, which, without question, are all better than this particular one. I still say this is worth reading, particularly if you've read everything else that he's done, because it'd be the really annoying one to have left out. But I found other stories that had done it better. Like I say, The Carpet People, the ending was done a lot better. And then the Long Earth series, Terry Pratchett again, but this time it's Stephen Baxter. That started off really strong and really did a decent exploration of alternate Earths and stepping between many different iterations of the planet. Primeval, which was, okay, it's through time rather than dimensions, but it's still a similar sort of theme, has a much more interesting premise. It just felt very derivative of a lot of other works, but it didn't do it nearly as well as they did. It's a cool cover though, I do like the cover. So, have you read The Doors of Eden? What did you think about it? Or what's your favourite Portal adventure? Whether it's science fiction or fantasy, it doesn't matter. Comment down below please, but as usual, if you've nothing nice to say, then please keep it yourself. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe and other YouTubey things if you want. Until next time, see you later.